Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is APFC flyweight champion Cody Linne. Hello, Cody. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Cody, on APFC number 14, it will be November 17th. You will be defending your flyweight championship against Roybert Echeverria. So, if you can tell me, what do you think about him as the opponent?
He's good. He's well-rounded. I say talk about before. I think his biggest attribute that he's bringing to the fight is his experience. Being on Contender Series already, having that whole experience. He can use that now because APFC is a big show locally. It's getting bigger. But with the show being so big, that's not gonna affect him at all. I don't think because he's been to UFC, Dana White Contender Series, so. But overall, I think Roy's a good opponent, well-rounded. It's going to be a good fight.
And actually, in his last fight, he defeated Aymar Hernandez. I think that overall, also like super talented prospect, and he did it by a knockout. So, because he can knock people out, he can be dangerous especially in the stand-up department.
100%. He's very patient and knows what he wants to do. And he's like a sharpshooter, He takes his time, he plays his distance, and if you make a mistake, he has those shots. So you just gotta be patient, gotta be smart with him.
Uh, Overall, are you happy that this is a 15 minutes fight?
Yeah, I feel like as like a fighting locally, we'll call it, regional scene. I think the 3 rounds are worth it, as in like we're getting paid the same, whether we do three, whether we do five. So I think it's good. We still get to go in there, get the experience of fighting at a high level, having the cameras, all of that. But you're not fighting pretty much two fights, because we don't get paid the best right now at this level, which that's what we're working towards. But yeah, I think the 3 rounds are fair.
Yes, definitely for the championship distance, it should be like bigger money because it's like 2 rounds in the it's a lot of time. 10 minutes, it should be definitely compensated correctly.
Yeah, I feel like I think it's CFFC does it. They do 4 rounds and they do a fifth they need it. I like that because at least like you get in the fourth round, but if you dominate the guy 4 rounds, what you don't need to do the fifth. So I think that's also a good concept they have too.
And how do you approach game planning for the opponent? Do you do it by yourself? Do you like spending time watching the like fights of your opponents?
Yeah, I definitely like once I get the name and the contract signed and everything, I spend time on my own just watching it, kind of see what I see, kind of write down what they're good at, what they're bad at, like pros and cons. And then from there, my coaches and just a lot of people around me, a lot of my training partners too, just they take the time. I don't necessarily ask them, but they like help me, and I'm really grateful for it. So they just take the time. Like some of these guys, like hours on end, just watching little things and like we train this one thing this week and they come back like I also seen this, and it's just I have so many people around me helping me, so it's a team effort. I watch what I see and then they add to it. We just kind of game plan from there.
Yes, and the results so far are perfect. So it's a good mix of the people.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And last time we spoke, it was before your then Moriarty fight, the undefeated prospect. And I think that from that point, your career went in a very good direction because you defeated four other opponents. So it's kind of crazy. And I like the mix of the fighters that you like, mix of styles of the fighters that you fought because Dan was undefeated fighter. You defeated him by your first round knockout, and it actually was, I believe, your first like main event, pro main event.
Yeah, that was I mean I was main event one other time before that. But it was on like a smaller show, so this is like my first big main event show for sure.
And were you stressed a bit that you will be like one of the main faces of that night?
No, I'm pretty sure it was a co-main event before that anyway, so it's kind of, I know it's not as big as a main event, but then the main event got hurt, and then they just messaged me, "You're the main event now." And I was more excited than anything, to be honest. I like that spotlight. I like the eyes on me. I feel like I perform better. The pressure, it helps. It helps me lock in and focus. So no, honestly, if anything, it probably made me better.
Yes, and the finish was great. So in the end, it was like absolutely great performance. And your next fight was against Dillion Cox, and it is he actually, in my opinion, probably was the best like grappler that you faced.
His grappling's pretty good. He's also I like that because he's fought a lot of higher level guys too, so he had that experience. That was kind of his thing, you know. He just loved taking tough fights, and he brought that to this fight, and I like how it played out. I liked that I got to go 3 rounds and then finish him, get that experience. But yeah, no, he's definitely a tough opponent.
And how did you feel at that moment after you submitted him when you become a champion?
Initially, honestly, so Dylan was talking a little bit of smack. So it was like the first time I wasn't necessarily like angry or mad at my opponent, but like I had like a chip in my shoulder, you know. So I don't know if you see him, but like after I choked him, I kind of pushed him a little bit. Now you don't like show that kind of emotion, but then I calmed down, brought myself back to it. But after that, it's like I was kind of taking it all in. That was a big moment for me, and there's a lot of people there, my friends, my family, obviously, and the venue being in Milwaukee and just the vibes, the energy around it was just that night was definitely a night to remember. It was really cool.
And especially that you submitted him. So of course we know that you are a very good grappler, but he also was a good grappler, and in the end you were a better fighter at this department that day.
Yeah, I feel like I honestly could have submitted him sooner. I just feel like there's some adjustments that had to be made, and I've made them now, and I've improved a lot in the last, you know, year and a half here. So it was a fight. I'm happy it went how it went, but I think I could have definitely finished the job sooner.
And your next bout, it was Nate Williams, and we can like judge him as the fighter, like having opinion on him, because we can see that he had at that point like 22 losses. But I think that we should see him as the like super dangerous veteran who got over a 50 fight, what is like, kind of crazy. Because having like over 30 wins, it's quite rare thing. So I think that it was in the end it was also a good opponent for you because the veteran got this kind of sometimes tricks. They know what to do. They know how to beat different kind of styles, and you still uh, pretty much maybe not dominated him, but you quite easily won this fight.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it too, was like we knew he was a veteran, right? So he had all the little tricks and he wasn't get nervous being in there. He's been in there 54 times when I fought him, so that was his 55th fight. It's kind of how I took it though. It's kind of like I'm coming up. He's a veteran. I kind of gotta, pass this test to keep going in my career. It's like I feel like a lot of people need to do that. Like you gotta fight a local veteran. They got 30, 40 fights, and because they know how to deal with everything. Yes, you're still learning how to deal with the nerves and all that. They've been there forever, so I think it was a good fight. Just to have that person in front of you that isn't gonna be scared of anything.
And actually, I think that even that you spent a lot of time in the first round on your back, you still won this round, and it's also very rare to see that fighter who is on the bottom, he's winning the round.
Yeah, I'm active everywhere. I've always said that wherever the fight is, I'm be active, trying to do damage, throwing up submissions. Like I'm not just gonna sit there. A lot of people just kind of sit there. They might look like the ref, trying to stand up, whatever. But I'm there. I'll elbow you. I'll throw up submissions. Like you gotta be working too. We're not just it's not rest time. Until I get back to my feet or sweep you, whatever it is. But we're working the whole time.
And I think that overall it's quite hard to find this kind of balance between being aggressive in the fight and to be strategic. And because you always going for the finish, you are aggressive fighter, but you uh, that but you are not doing a lot of mistakes. You are not you are not like getting hit or something like this. So I think that in your fights we can see the like perfect balance between these two aspects.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's something I've been working on and still continue to work on. It's sometimes I do need to be a little more patient, which we've been working with my coaches is like I gotta realize some of these positions I'm winning, and I can kind of will say rest in them, in certain positions, and take our time and do our damage still, but don't need to always be rushing. Kind of take your time in there, especially the higher level of fights. You got to win every second. 10 seconds win the fight that can change things. So, but yeah, that's kind of just my style, just being aggressive and I feel like my skill set just keeps evolving. That I just make less and less mistakes, and that's kind of the name of the game, right? Everybody's trying to do the same thing.
And in your last fight, you fought against Jonathan Sepulveda, and I think he also was kind of interesting fighter because he was never finished. So I think that also probably he was a little bit like a puzzle for you how to correctly find a solution for him, let's say.
Yeah, that was my goal. My number one goal was he's never been finished. I want to finish him. Unfortunately, I didn't get to finish, which that still bothers me to this day. But he was just tough, like I did the game plan what we were doing for weeks and weeks and weeks, and like we got to where we wanted to, on the back, holding position, because we knew he was a striker. We knew his only chance was a knockout, right? So let's avoid that, get him to the ground, control, maintain, and eventually get the submission. Which I was on his back. I was trying to do damage with punches. I was trying to look for the chokes and everything. But he was kind of just hanging on with everything he had every round, Like I'd get him there, and then he just kind of just hang on and hang on and hang on. And we work some more of grit fighting now, so I made those adjustments as well, like I always do. But yeah, he's definitely a tough fighter. He was strong. I wanted to finish really bad, but we got the win. Again, we got 3 round experience, so I'm still happy with it.
And do you think that your next opponent will be the toughest from this group that you fought in APFC?
Yeah, I believe so. Like all those, I feel like all my other opponents kind of had their thing they were good at, which Roy does too. Like he likes his knockouts and all that. But I feel like he's also a little more well-rounded, like he can take the fight anywhere. So yeah, I think that's gonna make him tough, and then his experience as well. Like, my other like again, Nate had 54 fights. He had the experience, but he didn't fight Dana White Contender Series or anything like that. So. I think Roy, with his experience fighting Dana White Contender Series and just being more well-rounded from a good gym, all that, I think it makes him the best opponent I've fought so far.
And according to topology in US, you are, I believe, number seven or number eight as the flyweight in the whole country. But to be honest, I think that there is a case that you are actually well the best of the group. Of course, it's like very subjective who is the best. But do you see yourself in the UFC after your next fight?
That's the goal. This has been the plan, like the written plan, since I was 5-1, 4-1, we were kind of like, let's get to 10-1. That was it. And Ben, my coach, my head coach, was like, you're gonna get to like 7-1, 8-1, you're gonna want to go, and everyone's gonna be telling you to go. And that's exactly what happened, but I had to just listen to him because they were trying to get me going contender series, this and that. Everybody's like UFC. We just took our time. I think I'm in the right moment. Everything's in order, God's plan. I'm just going fight by fight. So yes, the goal after this one is to go to UFC, but also was just announced yesterday the Ultimate Fighter is having 125ers, so that could be a path too. That's been a dream. I've always wanted to do that. So if that opens up too, I could do that. So we'll see. But UFC in whatever situation it brings, that's the goal.
I think that if you would be in the Ultimate Fighter, probably you would be like number one seed because I think that right now your like level of skill is quite unbelievable for now, and I think that on the regional scene it would be hard to find you like your match, let's say.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I think being Roy, everything goes to plan. It is going to be hard to find a matchup once they see that on my record too. Just if you look back and see everybody I've been fighting and beating and how I've been doing it, I think can't deny me at that point. It's like it's sign me or Ultimate Fighter, wherever it is. But I think after this one, it's time to make some big decisions and get to the big show.
And I believe that you are overall a fan of watching fights, watching the UFC. And what do you think right now about current state of flyweight division?
With Kai coming in, it's getting interesting. It's getting interesting again because we got Kai coming in, and I still feel like now, let's say top like eight, they're pretty. Everybody's pretty good. Like we have a decent roster now, and I feel like it's just gonna keep building and building. And some of the flyweights that were on Contender Series last season, like there's some good guys out there. So honestly, I think it's gonna become more alive again. We're getting a lot of good fighters. You can look at again like 1 through 10, and like all those matchups would be crazy.
Yes, and even tonight we have a flyweight main event between
Yeah.
former champion Brandon Moreno and Amir Albazi. And in this fight, who do you think will win?
I think Brandon still has it. He's locked in, and just the experience. He's fought so many tough guys, and his skill set. And I think he's still evolving. I've seen some of his training, and he's throwing those kicks again. So I think he can get it done.
And after last Ilya Topuria fight, there is a like a big debate who should be a fighter of the year this year, Alex Pereira or Ilya Topuria. And in your opinion, who deserved more in this year?
That's tough. We were talking about this at the gym a couple days ago. Actually, I think Ilya Taporia is one of my favorite fighters. Like when he got to UFC, I watched his first fight, and I was like, "This guy is legit." Just seeing like how he moved and everything, and then I started watching like his YouTube channel, like his training and all that. I'm like, I like how he trained. I even like implement some of his style, as in like how I train. So I'm a really big fan, but. He did knock out two of the best, but I think Alex is just he kept saving the card, every time, and no questions asked. He showed up, did his thing, and he won every time. So I think this year Alex just takes it by a little bit more. I think Taporia needed to do just a little more. He did what he had to do, but I think I give it to Alex.
But overall, I think that is like interesting debate, and I think that in 2019, so it's like 5 years ago, there were also a lot of opinion who should win that year. It was between Israel Adesanya and Jorge Masvidal, who also got this crazy year with the like
Yeah.
7 seconds knockout over Ben Askren.
Yeah. There's always that debate, right? Like who's the fighter year, but yeah, this one's really close. Like you could give it to either. You can't really get mad, but I think Alex just barely takes it, to be honest.
And in November, in just weeks, we will have a big UFC card, and main event will be John Jones against Stipe fight. And in this case, who would you favor?
I think John Jones, I think he's really that good, honestly. And Stipe is good too, don't get me wrong, but I just think John Jones' skill set, like nobody's figured it out yet, and I just don't think Stipe is gonna figure it out either. It's gonna be a good fight, but I think John Jones gets it done.
I think that the break between last Stipe fight it will be like almost 4 years, so it's quite a long one, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. That's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be definitely a big one. I'm excited for it.
And also, I believe it will be the same weekend. There will be a boxing fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. And do you plan to watch it?
Not really. I mean, we'll see what happens, but it's not really like in my calendar necessarily. But if I'm not doing anything, maybe, but I'm not necessarily gonna watch it.
Yes, here the like age difference is probably just too much. It's almost 30 years, so it's too much.
Yeah, it's always tough watching the Jake fights. Like he's good. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's doing his thing. Like he's fighting guys to knock him out, but I don't know. it's just something about it. It's like I respect what he's doing, but it's hard to watch.
And before your fights, or maybe in the training camp, do you use any like visualization techniques or breathing techniques?
I do a lot of visualization, not really necessarily breathing techniques, but like there's a lot of time, especially it's kind of honestly helps me kind of go to sleep at night. It's like when I'm ready to go to bed, I got everything in order, I lay down and kind of just so what I do, I just visualize the moment of everything of the back room, the walkout, getting in there, standing across the cage, the first exchange, what happens in the fight, after the fight, see yourself winning, all that. So I do that pretty much every night, and then sometimes I even catch myself doing it midday, but pretty much every night I kind of just relax myself, think about it, and just fall asleep doing that.
And of course, for now you have many years experience in MMA, so you know like good sides of the sport and the bad sides. And in your opinion, what is the like hardest, toughest part of the sport of MMA?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like for most, it's just the discipline. Like if somebody looks on the outside in, like say a fan or whatever, or a family member, whatever it is, I think the discipline, I know it's kind of broad saying that, but if you're really serious about it and you want to compete at the highest level, there's a lot that goes into it, like the training, the diet, the recovery, everything. For those 8 to 12 weeks, it's like it's only the fight, and that's really all that's on your mind too. Once you sign that contract, it's like it's all you're thinking about, it's all you're focused on. And some people don't understand that, and it's tough. But I think that the people that are around you and they do somewhat get it, you gotta keep those people around. But that's I think the toughest thing is just people understand the dedication it takes to compete at this level.
And of course, you are training in Rothwell MMA gym. And about Ben Rothwell, because he lately fought in bare knuckle, he defeated I believe the Todd Duffy, former UFC fighter. And do you know if Ben plans to be back in the cage in any kind of sport, maybe bare knuckle, maybe MMA?
Um, he has another bare knuckle coming up soon. It's not announced yet, but he's fighting bare knuckle again. Whether he does MMA or gets in the cage again, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't see it. Unless someone offers him a ridiculous contract, maybe. But right now, it's still bare knuckle. He plans on doing a few more bare knuckle until he calls it quits.
Yes, and overall, the bare knuckle it's also a kind of crazy sport because it's of course MMA or boxing is also very dangerous sports, but bare knuckle is kind of bloody thing, and there are a lot of injuries because of that. But from like fans' perspective, it's okay to watch it.
Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday. Ben thinks bare knuckle is actually safer than MMA because, like, getting kicked in the head, that's a whole shin or knee in the head. You're only getting punched, which it looks worse because you're getting cut and like breaking your hands and stuff. But it's you're not getting kicked in the head. That's different. You get kicked in the head, knee in the head. It's a little bit different, but it just looks worse again because if you do bare knuckle, 80% of the time you're just gonna be blood. You're gonna get some kind of cut or something. But yeah, I mean, all the sport, any combat sport is pretty wild.
Yes, yes, definitely. Uh, and about your life outside of fighting, do you have a like maybe, or can you share it? Maybe one dream or thing that you would like to accomplish, but outside of fighting in next maybe 5, maybe 7 years?
Um, Honestly, I want to open like up my own business, like something to do with food. In camp, I like cooking. Like making my food, prepping it. I like take the time to cook and make it look good. Um, if it's in 5 to 7 years, that'd be awesome. Kind of. It's almost kind of looking at like retirement, what I'm gonna do after. So that's more than 10, 12 years. But yeah, 5 to 7 years, if I could, yeah, open my own business, start doing my little business. But again, my full focus is fighting, so that's gonna come first. So that's probably more in like 10 years when I decide to kind of start my own business and do that route.
And maybe you will have this money from bonuses when you will be in the UFC. It will be easier to open a new thing.
For sure. Like I want to invest in real estate and all that and be smart with it. Ben's gonna help me. He knows he's done well. He's got it in order. So obviously I'm gonna follow what he says and do all that. But yeah, saving all that money and start a business and obviously I want to run it and do that. But at that point I could probably pay people and get it going where I don't gotta stress about 24/7.
Okay, Cody. So thank you for the conversation. I think that your next bout will be a really interesting one, but I think that it will be that you will win this, and I hope that your next bout will be finally in the UFC.
I appreciate that. Thank you.